question is, with nearly 30 years of, it's a terrible thing. People need their social security.
Let him get his question out, please.
So, therefore, an additional report in 2021 found that 24,000 recipients received nearly $300 million, and they were already deceased. So, which is a terrible thing. So my question...
Outrage is spreading across the country tonight because a bombshell warning has just dropped. Millions of Social Security payments may be in jeopardy, and the mainstream media, they're barely talking about it. In fact, for retirees, disabled Americans, families who rely on these checks to put food on the table, this is not a drill. This is a real threat coming from inside the system.
To reiterate, because we are running out of time, quick questions, quick answers from you guys, if we can.
Hello. So a report by the Social Security Administration Inspector General's office last August found that over $72 billion between fiscal years 2015 and 2022 had been issued in money that was not supposed to go out to Social Security Administration. The report also stated that there were dozens of suggestions, but none were implemented. An additional report in 2021 found that 24,000 recipients received nearly $300 million, and they were already deceased. So, which is a terrible thing. So my question is, with nearly 30 years of, it's a terrible thing. People need their social security.
Let him get his question out, please.
So, therefore, with nearly 30 years of collective public service, why have none of you ever looked at waste, fraud, and abuse or policies that would ensure Social Security benefits get to actual living people who need it most?
I think
Former Social Security Commissioner said that the entire operation could break down within 90 days. And while some are already rushing to point the fingers at Trump and Elon Musk and DOGE, also known as the Department of Government Efficiency, here's the truth. The real issue isn't who's trying to fix the system. It's the deeply rooted bureaucratic mess that they're trying to clean up here. And now that effort's being blocked in federal court, halting all sorts of investigations and into waste, fraud, and abuse inside the SSA. And so this all comes at a time when Republicans are fighting to eliminate taxes on Social Security, to put more money back in your pocket. Now, if you're on Social Security and you're all for eliminating Social Security taxes, type a 47 in the comments right now, guys. Show your support. Now, if you don't care if they keep taking your, if you don't care that you're continuously double taxed for the income coming out of your Social Security check, type a 46 if you don't care that they're taking money from you. But meanwhile, Washington insiders are quietly discussing some major changes on Medicare behind closed doors. Now, in today's video, we need to talk about a few things, including everything that they don't want you to know, why a former Biden-era official's warning of chaos, what the DOGE crackdown is actually targeting, and who is actually standing in the way, and what's really packed into this massive new tax bill that could directly affect your Social Security checks, your health care, your wallet. Buckle up, guys, because the fight to protect your benefits just got a little bit more personal. But I think that you guys deserve to hear the whole story. So let's go ahead and get into it. By the way, if you're able to hear me, please drop a quick yes in the comments down below, guys. Hope you guys are able to hear me. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So let's go even deeper into what's driving the storm over Social Security and Medicare, because while the media is busy spinning fear, the real story is about opportunity. And it starts with something that many of you already benefited from: Trump's 2017 tax cuts. And so, yes, the ones that the media never wanted to admit actually worked.
Lawmakers rushing to extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act before it expires at the end of the year. A new study finding how much money President Trump's signature tax bill has really saved Americans. Filers earning between $50,000 to $75,000 save more than $4,500. Those who made up to $100,000 save nearly $6,000. Those who made up to $200,000 save nearly $10,000. Now, Republicans are still considering how to pay for this.
Wow, guys, that bill saved real money for real people. Right? Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. Middle class, middle income Americans earning between $50,000 and $75,000 saved over $4,500. Those earnings just under six figures saved $6,000. And so get this, guys, even higher earners saw nearly $10,000 in savings. Now, this is not just a tax break. This is food on the table. This is gas in the gas tank. This is peace of mind. But now those tax cuts are set to expire at the end of the year, unless lawmakers act fast. Now, here's where things get really urgent because, built into the extension of these tax cuts are new proposals that could directly impact Social Security and Medicare income. Now, you turn 65 and what do you get? Medicare, a bunch of paperwork, and the thrilling experience of trying to figure out whether your doctor still takes your insurance. Yeah. Happy birthday to you, right? Well, luckily, there's Chapter. They're the only group that I've been able to find that actually helps regular people through this mess without making you feel dumb, pressured, or broke. I mean, take Julie from Kansas. She got connected, or I should say she really got conned into a bad plan by a local broker. But guess what? Chapter fixed it. She's saving $400 a year now. Jamie in Texas, $600 went back into her Social Security check. Now, guys, this company was literally built because the founders of the company, they watched their own parents getting screwed. And so that's the kind of motivation that you want on your side. And guess what, guys? It is totally free. It is absolutely free. And that's why I'm thrilled to share Chapter with you guys. So I'll leave a link in the description down below. It is askchapter.com/Ron, or you can just call them up directly. Their phone number is 909-563-8279. Give them a call. Tell them Ron said hello. But seriously, guys, totally free. Now, we're talking about the push to eliminate federal taxes on Social Security benefits. Guys, this is a move that would finally end the absurd double taxation that retirees have suffered through for decades.
I think that we are going to have the biggest tax cut package in history, not only renewing the president's 2017 tax cuts, but also adding some additional tax cuts on top of that the president campaigned on that are really great for middle and working class individuals. These are things like no tax on tips, right? No tax on Social Security. So that's what we're really working towards. We also have wide agreement on securing the border, make sure it's funded for the long term to ensure that the great work we've done so far extends past the next few months.
Wow. Okay. Imagine this, guys. You pay into the system for what, 40 years? And right when you finally start collecting Social Security income, the IRS still comes after you. I mean, it's like never ending with those people, right? Anybody, is it just me, or does anyone just not really like the IRS very much, right? You pay your taxes, right? You pay whatever is owed, but you don't really like dealing with them. Like they make you feel uncomfortable. Is it just me? I mean, if you agree, just type a quick yes in the comments. But this is what Trump's team's trying to end right now, guys. And they're also calling for no taxes on tips. This is huge news for working class Americans. So why is there so much outrage? Why the media frenzy? Well, I think it's because these reforms, they challenge the old way that Washington has run for decades. But of course, there is a catch, and it's not what you think. To keep these tax breaks alive without exploding the deficit, lawmakers are now debating how to trim the fat from elsewhere within the system. And that brings us to Medicaid, right? Now, this is where the spin machine kicks in the high gear. Now, you've probably seen the headlines, Medicare cuts incoming, right? Vulnerable populations at risk. But here's the truth, guys. No one's being kicked off of Medicaid. Let me repeat that. Not one single person is losing coverage unless a state governor refuses to step up.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what Medicaid and FMAP is, and the intentional confusion here from the left. So FMAP is the federal medical assistance percentage, and it ranges from 50% in the country to 76.9%. Now, when the Dems expanded Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, they made that percentage match 90-10. So the federal government is paying 90% of the Medicaid expansion. And so what we have talked about is moving that 90% level of the expansion back towards the more traditional levels of 50 to approximately 80% instead of the 90-10, 90% being federal, 10% being state match. That's what we've talked about. And nobody would be kicked off of Medicaid as long as the governors decided that they wanted to continue to fund the program. And so we are going to ask the states to pick up and pay some additional percentage of the Medicaid percentage, more than the 10%. And it's amazing. You would think that these liberal governors around the country would be jumping at the bit to and offering to pay more than 10% if they thought the program was important. But we have talked about changing that formula in Medicaid expansion that the Democrats did, which is 90% Fed, 10% state, to more closely align with what the traditional match is, which ranges between 50% for wealthy states and about 75% for some of the lower income states.
Well, guys, here's how it works. Like right now, under the Affordable Care Act, the federal government pays 90% of the cost for expanded Medicaid, while the state pays just 10%. Now, the proposed change, return it to the traditional federal state match, which ranges anywhere from 50% to 80%, depending on the state's income level. So if you're in a state like Georgia, a well-run, responsible state with its budget, this really isn't a problem. The state steps up a little bit more and coverage continues. But if you happen to be in a poorly run, deep blue state that wants to use this money to score political points, well, then they might try to weaponize this. They might try to weaponize this shift by refusing to fund their portion and then end up blaming Washington, D.C. or Trump or Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency for the fallout.
The same rate.
Again, thank you for the clarification. Liz Peek's got a question for you.
Congressman, going back to the Medicaid issue, because this is becoming a pretty big factor in these negotiations, there was an article, I think, in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend about how many Republican congressmen had pretty big numbers of people on Medicaid in their districts. But from what you're saying, really the issue comes down to state versus federal apportionment of the costs. Is that a way of getting around and appeasing those Republican congresspeople who are worried about their constituents? You're saying no one's going to be taken off the rolls. It simply is up to the governors of those states to make these changes. I mean, that seems like a pretty straightforward argument.
Yeah, and I think in states like Georgia that are well run with a good governor, I think you would see my governor say, you know what, we will pay a little more to keep our people covered. And I think that where you see a poorly run state with liberals in charge, then they're going to create as much pain as they can. So I don't discount that if you get into a far left governor, that he would intentionally create the pain for people on Medicaid, when all he would have to do would be willing to increase his percentage of the FMAP. So would there be some reductions? That would be up to the governors. It would not be part of the legislation.
You see, that's the real danger, guys, right? That's the real danger. It's not about cuts. It's about responsibility. States have always shared the burden of Medicaid, and this simply asks them to return to a more balanced structure.
But yes, you are correct. We are talking about the state governments paying a small percentage increase in their share of the Medicaid cost of their citizens. And now, keep in mind, the federal government is still going to be paying the lion's share of that budget.
Interesting.
So if they care about their people, they'll keep funding it. If they don't care about their people, well, then you can decide who's really to blame at that point, right? But here's the thing. Here's the other thing that the media won't tell you about, right? This restructuring. This isn't about Medicaid. It affects the entire healthcare safety net, if you think about it, because if we can make Medicaid more efficient, it opens the door to preserving, even improving Medicare and Social Security long term. If you look at it from a higher level, it's all connected, guys. Don't let them fool you. But, while the public is focused on Medicaid and these tax cuts, there's another battle that's happening. This is a battle that could hit small business owners the hardest. And so, of course, we got to talk about why some small businesses may soon end up paying more than these corporate giants. And later, President Trump's surprising message about Russia and Ukraine that has everybody talking, guys. So let's keep going. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. So right now, while everybody's talking about tax cuts for individuals and seniors, there's this growing storm that could hit millions of small business owners. And guys, most people don't even know it's coming.
To pay for all of Trump's desired tax cuts. Here is what Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser told me on the program last week. Watch.
The Tax Cut and Jobs Act under President Trump brought it to 37 for those just on income levels over $750,000, I think it is. So by bringing it from the 37 as we're redoing the tax plan to perhaps 38.6, right? It would still be 1% less than it was before. Right? So if you were to bring it up at one point, it brings about $15 billion in revenues. So if it did come up to 39, it's almost $25 billion. The president is determined not to have a standard, and this is my view from what I based upon him. I'm not putting words in his mouth. A standard Republican style budget. What he wants to see is something that is in the interest of all of America, middle income America, small business.
Congressman, is Mr. Meuser's idea something that you would support? Because, again, this has been floated from the White House.
Well, first of all, most of the people where I live, if they make that kind of money, it is through a Schedule S business, not through a W-2. So what I would tell you is the Schedule S rate and the Schedule C rate, so the corporate America rate and the small business rate, have to be relatively the same. And so my question would be, is he talking about Schedule S rates, or is he in the pass-through income, or is he talking about W-2 income? If it's W-2 income, then maybe you get there with that. But if it's pass-through income, the pass-through income for small businesses has to be the same as it is for corporate America, in my opinion. And so small business should not pay a higher tax burden than big business does. So that's where my question would come in. Are we talking about W-2 income, or are we talking about pass-through income from Schedule S businesses? It's going to be, there's some complex questions that have to be answered here. I assume that he's only talking about W-2 income, but I still think that, higher tax rates don't lead to higher tax revenue. You talk about how much money the Trump tax cuts save the average.
You see here, guys, like under the current system, how your business is taxed, it really depends on how your business is structured. So if you run a business as a sole proprietor, it's just you, then you're taxed under Schedule C. Now, if you operate as an S Corp or pass-through, you're on Schedule S. But here's the big issue here. These rates are not aligned, and they could lead to small businesses and small business owners getting destroyed and end up paying more than these massive corporations. Do you guys think that that's fair? I mean, I don't think that that's fair. That's like big corporate America taking advantage, getting the big discounts, and the small mom and pop business owners who, they're just trying to scrape by. They're paying a higher burden. Now think about that for a second. You and I, we take all the risks. You work weekends. You build a business from scratch, and the system might still, for whatever reason, reward Wall Street giants with better rates than me and you. That's not just unfair, guys. This is economic sabotage.
But I still think that, higher tax rates don't lead to higher tax revenue. You talk about how much money the Trump tax cuts saved the average American household, but it also generated tremendous sums for the federal government. The truth is we've had higher tax revenues than we've ever had in the history of the country. It's just that the Democrats have been on this spending spree, and so now we have a higher deficit than we've ever had, other than the COVID era crisis we were dealing with. So higher tax revenues than we've had in the history of the country, but we still have a $2 trillion deficit because of the fiscal irresponsibility of the Democratic Party.
I want to bring in Liz Peek into this conversation, but real quick, would you support leaving the corporate tax rate at 21%, or would you be open to it going higher? Because this is the big business
I think the Schedule
story.
S and the Schedule C rates have to be the same. So if raising the Schedule C rates 2 points allows me to keep the Schedule S rates in line with Schedule C, then that's a trade I would make. I think that if you have a significant delta between Schedule S rates and Schedule C rates, then you create a tremendous burden on your small business owners who are competing with the Wall Streets of the world. Schedule S and Schedule C need to be approximately the same rate.
Again, thank you.
Wow. So there's this growing push to equalize the tax treatment between W-2 income, Schedule C income, and Schedule S income so that small businesses don't get punished just because they don't have an army of tax lawyers and offshore write-offs. But let's be clear, guys, this is not about raising taxes on entrepreneurs. What this is about is it's about restoring balance so that the person who's running a lawn care business in Ohio or a bakery in Texas doesn't end up getting taxed more heavily than $1 billion hedge fund. And if you think that that's the end of the story, well, just wait a second, guys, because while all of this is unfolding, international tensions are building, and President Trump just made a surprising statement that nobody saw coming. So let's pivot just a little bit here. We need to talk about some of these global affairs because this ties directly into Social Security and the economic stability more than you realize. President Trump just posted on Truth Social that he believes Russia and Ukraine could reach a peace deal this week.
He hopes that Russia and Ukraine could reach a peace deal this week. Congressman, because you wrote about this, President Trump posted on Truth Social that he hopes that Russia and Ukraine could reach a peace deal this week. Congressman, because you worked on armed services, I do want to get your reaction to what we're seeing right now and where we are with Russia and Ukraine.
Wow. For many Americans, this could mean more than just ending a war. This could bring relief at the gas pump, guys. I'm talking food prices stabilizing, less pressure on our federal budget, the same budget that pays out Social Security, Medicare, and VA benefits.
Yeah, well, I hope they can get to a peace deal too. Let me just say this: Russia is the aggressor here. Russia invaded Ukraine. I don't trust Vladimir Putin to do anything that he said he's going to do. If you look at what he said, yes, we have an agreement on the Black Sea and how we're going to handle the Black Sea. And just as soon as all of the restrictions on our economy and banking restrictions are turned back on, then we'll start complying with what we've negotiated in the deal. I don't trust Putin any further than I can throw him. I will tell you that, we should have enforced the sanctions when Biden was president. The Europeans should have stopped European banks from doing business in Russia. There's a lot of blame to go around here, but I do not expect Putin to...
Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.